based on reviewing a variety of different studies and a variety of different disciplines, the consensus was that a diet rich in plant-based foods and with fewer animal source foods is going to lead to both improved health for humans as well as environmental benefits. And that's from the Eat Lancet. So I definitely recommend looking that one up. It's an interesting one and lots of information there. And so food waste as well is something I wanted to talk about as well, because these are two things that are both really interesting to me, is like how our diet, like the choices we choose, so the foods we eat, how they're going to affect the environment, but also when we have these foods in our house, what happens if we don't use them? Like what's going on globally, what's going on within Canada with the food that's not being consumed. So this actually like hits me right in the heart when I hear that it says nearly 60% of food produced in Canada is lost and wasted annually. Like that's pretty shocking to me to learn that. This comes from secondhandharvest.ca. I think, Valerie, you know those guys, don't you? The Secondhand Harvest guys in Toronto. Okay. It's really interesting. They're doing a lot of like food rescue. So I highly recommend, if those of you here, if you're interested in food waste, check that out. Very, very interesting. Now, one of the things about that statistic is that 32% is avoidable and still edible, like literally edible food just being tossed out. And that's, to me, just so sad because, hey, I love food. Why am I going to throw that out? I want to eat everything I have. And it's such a shame, because if you think of the whole process that goes into creating our food, whether it's farming it, then shipping it, storing it, bringing it home, then it gets to your fridge, and then all of a sudden it goes there to die. So it's something that I'm really trying to think about more in my own life and trying to help people be aware of as well. So the food waste, when say our food that we don't end up eating, it ends up in the landfill, it creates methane gas. And this gas is 25 times more damaging to the environment than CO2. So we really want to get away from that food waste. And there's just, when I'm explaining this to people, I almost talk about now the bigger sort of, I'll highlight right here. This is showing like the actual dollar amount of like what happens when all this food is wasted. We're wasting billions of dollars. But even if you think about it from your own perspective, like say you buy some groceries and you put them in your fridge and you don't eat them, I kind of think of that as literally ripping up money, because you work really hard to go make money and save money, and then you go buy food with that money, and then if it goes bad, it's literally like just ripping up money. But I want to say this, and I want to turn it to a positive scope, because I don't want to feel sad thinking about this, because there's so much that we can actually do in our own lives to help mitigate a lot of this stuff. We all have so much more capability and abilities to do things that are going to positively impact our life, and they don't take that much effort. A lot of little things that but they can have a big result in our own lives. And then ultimately, everyone kind of does this. There's a good snowball effect. So one of the big things I just tell people is only buy what you need. And I mean, I love Costco like the next person, but often I just go in and I see people buying like huge, like 9 things of romaine lettuce. And unless you're having a party, you're probably not going to eat 9 heads of romaine lettuce. Like, you got to be having a massive Caesar salad and make sure you eat it all that day, because once romaine lettuce has dressing on it, it's going bad. So you kind of want to think of buying only what you need. And one of the best ways to make sure that your food doesn't spoil because you have the amount you need is to do meal planning. And that's something I talk with all the time. I love talking about meal planning. I think it's one of the best things for your health, but also for making sure you don't end up wasting your food. So think ahead, and maybe every Saturday or Sunday what you're going to cook. And going into the holidays, this is a great opportunity to practice this, because if you know you have friends coming over certain days, think about and get excited about what meals. Get on Google and search using, what ingredients you want to use, and plan out those meals. And you have a bunch of friends coming over, say for a meal on a Friday, you're probably going to have leftovers the next day too. So kind of think about that stuff and plan ahead. And make your grocery list. Make sure it's all ready so you know what you're going to buy. And when you go to the grocery store, or maybe New Grocery, to go get all of your stuff, you are ready to go. You're efficient with your list, and you're going to come home and have everything you need. Because I mean, everyone knows it's so annoying when you get home and you're about to cook your big meal and you forgot like that one spice that you needed. So make that list. It's going to make you more efficient. You're going to have everything you need in your fridge, and you can meal plan. Whether some people do it for a week straight, some people just meal plan for maybe 2 or 3 days ahead and say, I'm going to make a soup this day that's going to be my dinner one night and my lunch the next night. I'm going to make these for breakfast. So just buy what you need so you make sure that you're eating all of the food that you have. And that's a really important thing to think about. and just start that planning. And storing your food properly. I'm not going to get into this a lot, but when you get home and if you have something and you're like, oh man, my parsley always goes bad, literally go to Google, how to avoid your parsley going bad. There will be everything you need. Like, you don't need to call me. You don't need to ask like Valerie at the store. Literally, you have an iPhone or a cell phone, whatever you're buying, if it always goes bad on you, just Google it and you'll find tons of references on how to avoid your food from going bad. Like, I use Google all the time, even still. Like, I went to culinary school and I still sometimes forget how to store certain things. So I use Google. And the big thing I like to tell everyone is to eat everything. Use your scraps. Like, when you have veggie scraps left over, if you're like peeling things, you can make a broth. A big thing I've been teaching people a lot, or I was more before I have a baby now, so I'm a little bit busier and not on social media as much, but using your stems. So whenever I'm cooking things like with kale or with, say, Swiss chard, or any like sort of green that has stems, I always use my stems at the base of the recipe. So, you know, when you're cooking, and they always say add your onions, your carrot, and your celery, or whatever the heartier, denser vegetables at the base of a recipe, I always actually include my stems in there as well. So say I'm using kale, for example, you add your stems in at the beginning and just cook them in to soften them, because they're much harder than the leaves. So whenever you're cooking with, say, greens, throw the stems in at the beginning, and then you add the greens at the end because they're more delicate and they'll wilt down. So using those stems, so your stir fry, your collards, your kale, Swiss chard. Now, something like spinach, for example, you don't need to do that because the stems are very delicate as well, but stuff like that. Or even carrot tops, when you get your carrots with the big, the greens at the top, you can use those like parsley. And I did that all summer and used them in tabbouleh, added them in soups. Then I didn't need to go buy parsley because, you know, you get a lot of tops with the carrots. So some real simple swaps for the holidays. And I wonder, how much time do I have, Mimi? Am I like coming, do I have a couple minutes? Okay, perfect. So simple swaps for a greener holiday. So keeping the stuff that I just said in mind, that was more of our, you know, how to reduce food waste. This time in this slide, we're just going to look quickly at how to make the holidays greener. So more plant-based meals and gifts. So as I said earlier, if you can go with more plants and less animal products in your diet, that's a great win. It doesn't need to be completely vegan, but just moving more towards more plant-based options. So how can you do that? Easy thing over the holidays. If you're off on a Monday, hey, maybe use that Monday, go full on meatless Monday, create a bunch of plant-based meals and just give it a try. You're off on the holidays, you have the time anyways to do that. Might be stuck inside if you're in Ottawa with like snow and sleet and rain. So cook up some nice veggie meals and just have that, you know, as like maybe your holiday experiment. Some people like to do this thing called vegan before 6. So everything you eat before 6 p.m. is vegan. Give that a try. That's a really easy way to start. Maybe just do it for 1 week and see how you do. A really good one for the holidays that I think makes being plant-based a lot easier is called vegan at home. So when you're eating at home, just eat vegan. And if you go to parties and you don't want to be the annoying one who's like, oh, do you have any vegan options? Because I have to do that a lot of times. But people honestly don't mind and they always give me vegan options. But if you don't want to be that person, just eat whatever you want at the holiday party. And when you head back home, you're back on the vegan track. And I also recommend a really good thing to do if you're, say, planning your holiday party for your work. Why don't you plan to either go try out a vegetarian restaurant? There's lots of good options in the city, like Pure Kitchen's one, Green Door. I can think of so many. Copper Branch if you're out in Barrhaven, or even looking at, say, really good restaurants that have vegetarian options, like 268 is a good one. Play is a great option. Hometown Sports, it's sort of a sports bar and they offer all these vegan options or plant-based options at their restaurant. And if you're not comfortable with bringing your staff into a restaurant for a party, maybe you can consider doing takeout. And I can honestly say there's like a weird pressure on restaurants that are vegetarian or vegan. They have a lot more pressure from their clientele to do eco-friendly packaging. And you will notice this. They all have much more compostable or easier to recycle packaging than you're going to find from other restaurants that aren't leaning towards plant-based or vegan. It's just the pressure from their clientele and they tend to respond to that. So maybe thinking of trying for your holiday parties, whether it's your workplace or your families, maybe trying some vegetarian or vegan options. Also, in terms of gifts, I wanted to add that in because it's holidays. Maybe you can think about doing some homemade gifts. This is a great way to go zero waste, a great way to go plant-based. Make up a big batch of granola, put it in a mason jar and share that with everybody. It's something edible. It's not another plastic thing that's going to end up in the landfill or some something that your family does not even want, make them a really delicious granola and they can have that for breakfast. Or make some soup mixes. You can go into a new grocery and buy all the ingredients you need. And you can do those cool jars that have different layers of different like beans and spices, and give that to your family. Just go to Google and say, I'm like, I don't know, I guess you could put in making a holiday gift soup mix, something of that variety. You will find a lot of options on how to make them. Go and ask Valerie's staff. They'll walk you around and show you exactly where everything is you need. Get a bunch of your jars, and then you pour a little bit from each jar in your jar and you make a really pretty gift. Also, I love doing sauerkraut as a gift. If you need help making sauerkraut, let me know. I have some YouTube videos saved. It's an awesome gift because people like, it's just, if your friends like sauerkraut, if they don't, they're not going to like it because it's stinky and it's cabbage. So you want to make sure that you're giving sauerkraut to someone who will appreciate it when you put all that work in to make it for them. So there's lots of edible gifts you can make. So think about that. It's a great way to go plant-based and zero waste, and make sure that you're just not contributing to consumerism that your family member may not even appreciate. So also experiment with plant-based proteins this holiday season. So if you see in this picture here, that is actually a lentil loaf, and that is in my holiday ebook that somebody's going to win today from the door prize. But I'm also going to be sending out my ebook and my newsletter next week. So if you want to get on my newsletter, I'll share the link with you guys because I'll be sending that out, and you can recreate this beautiful meal. But yeah, for example, if you're normally doing a meatloaf, why not try a lentil loaf? If you were doing bean burritos or beef burritos, go with bean burritos. Maybe you do chicken sort of cutlets, you can do chickpea cutlets. Like basically anything you can do with meat, you can almost do with beans or tofu or tempeh or seitan, which is a wheat-based meat alternative. And nuts and seeds can also do really cool things. I don't know if any of you've ever tried walnut tacos. So good. You can literally turn walnuts into like taco meat. Look that up. I actually have it on my website if you want to look for that. It's so good. And another tip for you guys over the holidays, try making vegan sweets. I can't tell you how often I hear people say, oh my gosh, that's vegan. And I'm like, are you surprised? It's a cupcake. All it is fat, sugar, and flour. Everyone likes those combos, whether it's vegan or not. People never know. You can trick even the most sneaky person by making vegan sweets. And they even do this on cupcake shows, like the vegan sweets will win. And I don't know if any of you go to Valerie's shop on Main Street, but there's Happy Goat right next door. They actually canceled doing their regular chocolate chip cookie and just do the vegan one because people like the vegan one better. And it's really good. Trust me, whenever I go over to a new grocery, I then go get a chocolate chip cookie because they're really good. And I just want to show you guys, here's what I've been eating this week. This is a little holiday, what am I calling this? Cocoa nutty bite. I have a link for you guys for this sweet. This you can make 100% zero waste as well. You can buy all the ingredients in this. It's basically like a nut or seed butter. And it looks like a healthy Timbit sort of thing. A nut or seed butter. I have little chocolate chips in there. I have cranberries and cocoa and maple syrup. It's so easy to make, and you put this in your fridge, and when your guests show up unexpectedly, you're like, here you go. I have some really healthy little Christmas bites for you. So I'll share this recipe in the chat once I'm done here. So you can do this and everyone loves it. And it's a little bit healthier. Now, and I'm not telling you guys you have to make your sweets healthy because it is the holidays. Enjoy your sweets as well. So finally, I just want to mention trying dairy alternatives. This is a super, super easy way to start incorporating plant-based options into your life. There's so many options. Soy milk, great for baking, great for coffees. Almond milk, I find it a little bit watery. Some people love it. You can do coconut, oat, hemp, flax, rice. I'm sure Valerie even has on her site a few recipes on how to make your own zero waste ones. And honestly, they're really, really easy to make, especially hemp milk, so fast. Oat milk is a really easy one to make as well. And which milk should you choose? Well, if you're trying to think about the environment, this is a very good little graph. As you can see, dairy milk is the most intensive on the environment. And then it kind of goes, rices, they show from emissions, land use, water use. Oat milk is the big winner. And interestingly enough, you go to any coffee shop nowadays, they always have oat milk. So even if you're just going to a coffee shop, grab oat milk instead of dairy milk. Like, it's that easy. And these holidays, when you're hosting your friends and you're having your coffee or tea, just try putting out like just oat milk and see what happens. No one's really, well, some people will care, but just put it out there in one of those little spouts, pouring things. And I'm sure they might not even notice they're drinking oat milk because it works really well in coffee and tea. And so that's it for now. I know I went fast, but I wanted to share a lot with you guys, and I have so much more I can share. But I don't want to take up all of Valerie's time as well. So that's it for now. I will share some links in the chat for those of you that are interested in trying out one of these. I'm going to eat this as soon as I'm done because it's really good. I will share a link to that as well as a link to my newsletter. And I look forward to chatting with you guys later on in the Q&A. And I guess I turn it back to Mimi or Valerie. I'm not sure who.
Thank you so much, Amy. I have lots of questions for you for the Q&A, so I'm looking forward to that. And we'll pass it off to Valerie.
Yes, hello. I just unmuted. Actually, while I'm loading my presentation, I was going to mention that we have a great new product at New, which is plant milk concentrate, which I'm super enthusiastic about. It's so it's really concentrated plant milk, and it's almond and sunflower milk mixed. Delicious taste, and you use a tablespoon for a cup of water. So that's even more environmentally friendly because you save on transportation. You know, 90% of plant-based milk that you buy in a store is made of water, so you save on that. So I'm really happy about this product. I encourage you to try it, Amy. It's very, very new. So next time you come to New Maine, yeah, I recommend to try it. It's really great. Okay, I'm going to share my presentation. So what does it tell me? Yes, here it is. Okay. Okay, do you guys see everything? Yes, thumbs up? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about, obviously, how to make your holidays a bit more zero waste. So for those who don't know me, my name is Valerie. I'm one of the co-founders of New Grocery. New Grocery is Ottawa's chain, I may say so, since we have two stores now, chain of zero waste grocery stores. We opened the first one in Hintonbrook in 2017, and the second one, New Maine, on Main Street in Old Ottawa East in 2019. So we've been in Ottawa we've celebrated our 4 years of New this year. So just a few stats, and I really was quite lazy. I just Googled waste created during the holidays. I know that the numbers that I pulled are numbers that I've heard for many, many years from different sources. So I'm quite confident that they are accurate, even if I did not write the source here on the slide. But we know that household waste increases by 25% during the holidays. We also know that we toss about 540,000 tons of wrapping paper. And I'm talking about wrapping paper that is non-recyclable, non-compostable, just because the wrapping paper that you buy in a regular supermarket or in a regular store is kind of a mix. You know, it's not pure paper. It also has layers on it that makes it more difficult to recycle. And finally, that was another statistic that I found interesting, which is that 90% of gift returns end up in a landfill. So that really, I found this was an interesting statistic because very often we gift something thinking, well, if the person doesn't like it, you know, they can still return it. And we sometimes include a gift receipt. But actually, when the gift comes back to the store, in the vast majority of cases, it is not being brought back into circulation, but it is simply being tossed. And that is a dollar value for the United States. So I didn't find the statistic for Canada, but for the United States is $5 billion. I can't see $5 billion worth of products that are tossed. So that's about 2 point something billion dollars worth of goods that are actually tossed in a landfill every year. So that's a pretty staggering statistic. So during the holidays, there's 3 major sources of waste. And obviously, I'm not going to go into detail about food because this was covered very eloquently by Amy just now. So I will focus on the 2 other sources of waste, which are holiday decorations and the biggest one, gifting. Before I do that, I'm going to do a little reminder on the 5 R's of zero waste living, because we're talking about the holidays, but literally the 5 R's apply to every situation in life, regardless of the time of year, and they apply just as well to the holiday season. And as you will see, my presentation is structured around the 5 R's of zero waste living. So in order to reduce waste in your life, you're going to follow the five R's in a particular order. The first one, and the most important one in this reverse pyramid, is to refuse. And we mean refuse the things that you do not need. Because it's a very simple fact, every single material good that you're going to buy is going to end up as waste. That is just a fact. You know, it might end up as a waste item longer in time, but at some point it will become waste. So really the most effective way to eliminate waste is simply to prevent it and not create it in the first place. So refusing means that for every single thing you buy or every single thing you give, you ask yourself the question of the need. Do I really need this? Does this person really need it? You know, and you come to the conclusion, and for me, who is a very seasoned zero waster, and I guess for Amy's parents too, who are zero wasters before zero waste was actually a thing, you realize that to be happy in life, you don't need that much. You know, and for most and foremost, you don't need a lot of material goods. You know, your happiness is not dependent on ownership of material goods, and that's something that you realize when you transition to a zero waste lifestyle. And there's a lot of things that you do not need. So most important are refuse, and we're going to apply this to the holidays later, as you will see. The second one is to reduce. If I do need something, can I have less of it? The third one is to reuse. So if you can't refuse, if you can't reduce, concentrate on reusable items. So stay away from anything disposable, single use, and in particular, single use plastic, which is an environmental nightmare. We know that single use plastic, that actually every single item of plastic that has been created since the invention of plastic is still living on this planet or staying on this planet in one form or another. So plastic does not biodegrade. It breaks down into tiny particles that become so tiny that we end up drinking them, breathing them. So we know that we breathe plastic, and we know for sure that we also drink plastic. So there's microparticles of plastic in the water we drink. And then the last R's, which are to recycle and to rot being composting. So I think Bea Johnson, who came up with, who's pretty much the guru of the zero waste lifestyle, needed a fifth R, and so she chose rot, which is composting. And what I find really interesting about this pyramid is that the focus is really on waste prevention, because if you look at refuse, reduce, and reuse, it's all about preventing waste. Whereas the second half is recycling and rotting, and that is waste management. And very often when you hear about policies that people think about to tackle the waste problem, everyone focuses on waste management. How do we get better at recycling things? How do we make composting more accessible, etc.? You know, this is the whole focus of the political conversation, is on waste management, when we should focus actually our effort on waste prevention, because that's the absolute cheapest way to deal with waste, is simply to prevent it, and the most environmentally friendly to boot. You know? So there really needs to be a paradigm shift in the way we approach waste as individuals, but also in the way our politicians approach the waste problem. So this is just a little summary, a quick rundown of the 5 R's of zero waste that we're going to apply now to the holidays. So I'm going to start with the first one, refuse. So this is a very basic thing. And as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about decoration and gifting. Do we actually need decoration, and do we actually need gifts? And that's a very basic question. And people are going to go, oh, wow, the holidays, all the holidays about the holiday spirit and presents. So do you want to destroy the holidays? And I'm saying, no, I don't want to destroy the holidays, but sometimes it's a really justified conversation to have. For example, I know that I'm not going to spend the holidays at home. I'm going to be meeting in a cottage. So why would I decorate my home, for example? You know, I mean, the cottage well spent, the holidays will be nicely decorated, but there's no need for me to decorate my home. You know, why would I do that? It's not necessary, you know. Do we need gifts? I'm perfectly happy with no gifts at all. And I keep telling my parents and my family, I have everything I need, you know. I am happy, you know. I do not need gifts. Please do not gift me anything, right? And some people might be that way. I remember when I was a teacher, I used to be a high school teacher before opening new, and there was this tradition that my students would bring gifts at the end of you know, towards the holidays, and be it a box of chocolate or a little plant, something like that. And I always had to reiterate to my students, no, I do not need a gift. Please do not spend money on me, you know. I'm happy like that. So this is really a message that you should send out to your closed ones. If really you don't want any gift because you're happy just with their company, this is what makes you happy. You know? So that would be the first radical way of reducing waste during the holidays. If you do not want to go down that road, and I can understand that, you're going to move to the next R, which is to reduce, and basically to have less of everything. Decorate only one room, for example. You know, if this is the room where you're going to be, the living room, for example, decorate this room. There's maybe no need to decorate the corridor, to decorate the kitchen, to decorate, you know, anything else. Lighting outside of the house. I know it's a very North American tradition to lavishly decorate your house outside and have lights everywhere. Maybe go a little lower on that. It's a huge ecological footprint also in terms of energy consumption. So go a little easier on the decoration, on the lights outside the house. And basically embrace simplicity, embrace minimalism, do a little less of everything. And you'll see that you can create a holiday spirit with much simpler decoration and much more minimalistic decoration. When it comes to gifting, maybe establish a rule that only children get gifts. You know, if there are children in your family, truly, I mean, children are the ones who are the happiest about gifts, about presents, right? So maybe say, you know what, we're just going to gift, you know, offer gifts to children. Adults can do without it. If you do want to do gifts for adults, I have a friend who does this, which I think is great. Oh, actually, no, another idea about children. Reduce the amount of gifts for children to 3, no more than 3. And actually, this is rooted in evidence. There's a lot of studies that show that young children are completely overwhelmed if you gift more than 3 items at a time. So basically, they start with unpacking, they're all excited, 1, 2, 3, and anything beyond 3 is just too much for them to process. And if anything, it confuses them. Whereas if you offer 3 well-chosen gifts, you maximize their happiness. You know, you don't need to go beyond that. So this is really rooted in evidence that more than 3 is too much for most kids to process, especially the young ones. I was going now towards, you know, gifting to adults. I like this idea of, you know, imagine you're a family of 8 people gathering for the holidays. Draw a name and gift to one family member only. Not only is this going to reduce the amount of gifts that you make, but it is also going to enable you to really investigate what this person actually needs, you know, because you want to avoid the 90% of gifts that are being tossed because they are being returned to the store. You want to make sure that you offer something that the person really wants and needs. So if you focus on one individual in particular, it's very easy for you to investigate them, to ask them directly, okay, what is it that you need? What is it that you like? Or if you want to make it anonymously, ask the people in their surroundings, ask their partner, closer family members, friends, etc., to investigate what they would really need for the holiday. And so you make sure you concentrate on one person. You're going to make one really nice gift to that person only. That's what I just said. Find out what this person really needs. Another way also to reduce, because at the end, what you want is reduce material gifts, because these are the ones that are going to end up as waste at some point in their life, at their end of life. Choose immaterial gifts versus material gifts. And this can be applied both to adults and children. I know it's exciting for a child to wrap, and see something concrete, but you could imagine that you gift an experience even to a child. If you have a child that loves hockey, you're going to invite them to a hockey game, for example. Same thing for parents. If you're a foodie, I mean, like Amy, a gift card to a vegan restaurant, something like that. I'm sure Amy would appreciate that. So, you can definitely offer these kinds of gifts, and a day at the Nordic Spa, or something which will be very well appreciated and will not be a tangible gift. I would love not just to have questions, but also at the end to have suggestions of what people have done to reduce gifting, also without killing the tradition of gifting. So if you have more ideas, I'm really happy to hear them. Now we're going to tap into the next R, which is to reuse. So when it comes to decorations, it's really very easy to apply. Reuse the decorations you already have. So if you have garlands and tree ornaments, even if they are plastic, do not throw them away. I know I am the absolute anti-plastic person, but I'm the first one to say, if you do have things that are made of plastic, please use them. Do not toss them just because it's plastic. I still have plastic containers at home and things that I will use until they fall apart, because the end game is a landfill for most plastic items anyway. Swap with family members or friends. If you're tired of your decorations, you might want to consider putting them in a pool and doing some swaps with friends and families. Donate and buy secondhand. So, Value Village, thrift stores are just amazing to both donate the decorations that you don't want anymore, so they get a chance at a second life, and also buying things that are secondhand. When it comes to gifts, I would really ask as a society to normalize secondhand gift giving, particularly when it comes to children. Children grow, and the parents who are on the watching that presentation know that kids grow out of their gifts so quickly. So very often a gift that will be good 1 year will already be outdated the next year. So why don't we normalize secondhand gift giving, and also buy our gifts at thrift stores, and move away from buying new when it comes to gift giving for children. Especially because a lot of gifts for children are made of plastic still, and we know that plastic never goes away. So a good way is really to buy secondhand here. Another option is to do your own gifts, and I will talk shortly about edible gifts because Amy mentioned that before, but you could do DIY gifts with repurposed materials. And this is an example of what I did, for example. So I went to Value Village and bought very nice glasses that I could use for as candle holders. And then I made my own candles just by melting soy wax that you get in bulk at our store. Same thing, bought some candle wicks that we have at our store. And this is a super easy DIY. Really doing your own candles with soy wax is incredibly easy. And this is such a cute gift. And I decorated it with some dried flowers that we sell at the store in bulk too. So that is an easy gift with repurposed materials. And the only consumables that I'm using here, which is the soy wax and the wick, I can buy in bulk, package free at our store. Make gifts that are durable and that are meant to last forever, to be reused, and possibly even to be given to the next generation. And here I have the perfect example, which is the safety razor. This is literally an item that is so durable and so solid that it will never ever go away. You can really gift it to the next generation. So I really recommend to switch, even for yourself, even if you're not gifting it, to a reusable safety razor. It's a much greater shave, by the way, and really it lasts forever. So that would be my next recommendation. When it comes to gift wrapping, because I mentioned the 540,000 tons of wrapping paper that get discarded every year, move to reusable gift wrapping. This is an example of what we call the furoshiki. So this is a fabric cloth that you wrap in an artistic way, and it is a really nice gift wrap that can be used as a gift wrap to continue gifting, or as a centerpiece on a table, or there's many uses for it. So we sell some at the store, but you don't, what I usually do is I just use repurposed fabric that I keep from my sewing projects, and use these as a furoshiki wrap. Now I'm going to talk about the recycle rot section of the 5 R's. What you want to do is, if you gift and if you decorate, you choose products that will never, ever end in a landfill. That means that for decorations, you're going to favor decorations that are made of natural materials, branches, anything that you can collect in nature. So you can really do nice tree ornaments with just branches and pieces of wood that you tie together. I mean, this is about, you can be super creative. And again, Google is amazing. You just Google DIY decoration, natural materials, and you'll have all sorts of ideas. And I'll show you a few pictures of the decorations that I made. If you don't do them yourself with natural materials, you can always, we always favor easily recyclable materials. Glass and metal being definitely more sustainable materials than plastic, because glass and metal can be recycled without any loss in quality. So it's an actual recycling process, versus plastic that can only be downcycled, so turn into something of lesser quality, which at some point cannot be downcycled anymore and will just end up waste in the landfill. Finally, anything DIY using what you have, repurposed jars, again, it's really a matter of being creative. And I've put a few pictures here of what I've done. For example, the first picture is salt dough. So I did my tree ornaments with salt dough, and you see I don't even have a conventional cookie cutters. I just took the lid of a jar, the ring of a jar, and I use it as a cookie cutter. The second picture, so this is a beeswax candle, and you will find this recipe all on Google, how to dry your own orange slices. You can do this with lemon, you can do this with grapefruit, with blood oranges. This way you have different colors, and it's really cute. I always like to use also nuts in the shell. They're very nice to decorate. And as you can see also in the second picture, that is a basic cotton furoshiki that I did with a piece of bed sheet, and I just put walnuts in it, and it looks like a cute basket. Other than that, it's branches, and dried oranges. So you see, this is both natural. I think it's really beautiful. I find it much more beautiful than all the commercial, but that's a personal taste, because I'm a minimalist fascist. But really, I find this much more beautiful. But I also like Scandinavian minimalism, so that is just my taste. But these are just a few suggestions. When it comes to gifting, package-free consumables are great. I'm thinking of bar soap, for example, really a great gift. And we have lots of locally made soaps that are amazing, including the ones we sell at our stores. Gift made with natural materials. So again, cotton, wood, these kinds of material, definitely more sustainable. Gift made with easily recycled materials, so that would be glass and metal, and edible gifts that you can either buy or do yourself. So Amy had a couple of great suggestions. I like, for example, my project for today is to do truffles. So I'm going to do truffles, and I will put them in glass jars, and that's going to be one of the gifts I'll make. It's going to be a little truffle kit. And finally, for the wrapping paper, so if you're not going the reusable way, definitely use paper to wrap. So there's so many beautiful ways to wrap with craft paper, with brown paper, or you can use old pages of an atlas. You can use old pages of a book that you find in a thrift store. anyway, there's multiple options. Yeah, and here's a few examples. So I mentioned the soap, gift made with natural materials. So for example, this is a bamboo toothbrush. So this is not technically a reusable, because you're not going to keep your toothbrush forever, but at least it is made of wood, which is compostable ultimately. Easily recyclable material, an example of a lunchbox made of stainless steel. This is an Ottawa-based company, for example, Dalsini, that makes beautiful lunchboxes. And that is something that you can give, because this is a higher end product, to the person where you've really identified the need, you know. So if you draw a person, you know, and you know that they still use, I don't know, plastic containers to pack their lunches, that would be maybe a nice gift for them. Edible gifts, here are chocolate covered dates that we sell at the store that are delicious, but you know, do them yourselves. That's always a very thoughtful present. And here just an example of very simple wrapping with brown paper. You can add, you know, a bit of decoration, a piece of a branch, and etc. And it looks very nice. So these are a few suggestions on how to make your holiday zero waste. And as you've seen, I've really followed the 5 R's of zero waste, and I've applied this to the holidays, but really you can apply the 5 R's to every single situation in your life. Think about, you know, I'm going on a trip. You know, I'm going to go through the R's. You know, what do I really need? What can I reduce? What can I reuse? What is going to be recycle rot? You know, so really you follow these principles one by one, and that's how you end up living virtually without waste. I still produce a bit of waste, don't worry, but really much less than the average, I'd say. Okay, so this was for questions, but I think we'll do this all at the end. I just wanted to, well, of course, say thank you for your attention, and also encourage you to visit our stores. So we have 2 stores, one in Hintonbrook, which is at the corner of Wellington Street and Rosemount, another one on Main Street, not too far away from the Green Door. So if you go there, stop by New. We also encourage you to check out our website, newgrocery.com. We do have a zero waste delivery service for groceries, and of course all our accessories are available for shipping Canada and US wide now. We also have a pickup option that is free. And our grocery deliveries, by the way, are free for every order over $100. You can also sign up to our newsletter that we send out every Friday on newgrocery.com. So if you go on the website, after a few seconds, there's a window that pops up and you can sign up for a newsletter. Our newsletter is, I think, unlike any other newsletter, not solely focused on selling you stuff, but we also try to give you tips on zero waste living, giving you ideas on how to swap things. So we try to have a good balance between, you know, our commercial mission, because we are a business, but also our environmental advocacy. Finally, I encourage you to follow us on social media, Instagram at New Grocery. According to Vida, we're doing a great job on our social media. So I think, yeah, same thing. We try to find a good balance between selling and educating and providing tips. We also encourage you to engage with our social media. So just before we did this, we were talking about the fact that these days it's just really hard to crack the algorithm and increase our followers. So we really rely a lot on people, you know, sharing what we do to be more visible and engaging with us. So we love that. There's also a lot of other ways to support local independent businesses, you know, write a Google review and or Facebook review. I mean, these are things that cost you nothing, but are a great way to support us, especially during these times. I mean, the pandemic has been dragging along for very long, and it's really hard on us, really hard on small businesses. Our sales are way below what they used to be pre-pandemic, and with subsidies that have died out, we're completely on our own now, and so we really rely on the support of our community. So we're counting on you guys. Okay, that was my shameless self-promotion towards the end. So over to you, Mimi.
Thank you, Valerie.